For every light of a burning fire, there must be a shadow cast from that light. And perhaps, as the fire grows stronger and stronger, so too does the shadow grow as well. Edelgard's passion burned so strong, it engulfed the entire continent into war, and for a fire that great, she needed a shadow of equal caliber. Henceforth, we arrive at her right-hand man, Hubert von Vestra, the shadow of the crest of flames. But before he was the shadow of greatness, he was just a little boy, who I can only assume looked like and acted like Wednesday Addams if she were male. He was born into the Vestra family, a line of men and women fiercely loyal and protective of the royal bloodline of the Adrestian Empire. Ever since he was 6, he watched over the Princess Edelgard as her shadow, helping her wherever and whenever he was needed to. This peaceful childhood of theirs continued for about 4 years, until Edelgard's uncle decided to kidnap her and run away to the capital of another kingdom. Hubert was devastated at his inability to help her. How could he, a 10-year-old boy, not be strong enough to protect a 9-year-old from a grown-ass man? In desperation, he set out to chase Edelgard down himself. But, in his own words, a boy his age would have never actually reached the capital. A child simply doesn't command enough power to do crazy things like that. Come on, a child doing that kind of shit? Ridiculous. But, apparently he could fight off his father's troops for 3 days when he was a 10-year-old, which I'm pretty sure implied Hubert first killed a man at the age of 10, and that's pretty hardcore. It's here that he learned that it was not just Edelgard's uncle that staged a coup against the Empire. It was also the work of his father and several other high-ranking nobles. The feeling of betrayal sunk into him like a stone, and from that day on, he had no more love for his family. And when Edelgard eventually was returned to the Empire, he made a vow to watch over her more fiercely than before, but not because she was royalty and he was a Vestra. Now, he would protect her because he was Hubert and she was Edelgard. His loyalty was to her, not to the crown she wore. And so, that brings us to the time where he and Edelgard enroll into the academy at Garrick Mach, where they come in with absolutely no ulterior motives and just want an education and nothing else. Here, Hubert is starting to mingle with his fellow students and form friendships with other people his age. But Hubert's social ability is, lacking, to say the least, with a lot of students referring to his visage as horrifying, or at least unsettling. Still, it's not as though he's completely inept at talking to his peers and elders, just mostly. For example, his supports with Linhardt and Bernadetta have him genuinely trying to help them. With Linhardt, he tries to help the lackadaisical young man learn to focus his impressive intellect rather than switch his interests at the drop of a hat as he is prone to do, and prone to do a lot. And with Bernadetta, he takes note of her constant fear of him and tries to do his best to just simply never be around her. A solution that Bernadetta remarks isn't really fair because he's just naturally creepy. She shouldn't force him to avoid her for her own comfort. In supports like these, Hubert's just really trying to help people, even if they don't always agree with his methods. But at the same time, Hubert has some supports that are, well, if I had a nickel for every time Hubert threatened to assassinate an ally, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird and also very concerning that Hubert tried to do it twice. Both his supports with Byleth and Shamir start with him warning that he will dispose of them should they turn untrustworthy to Edelgard. Which, considering Byleth can side with Rhea and go to Silver Snow, Hubert isn't exactly wrong to be skeptical of them. But I will admit, threatening to kill someone is pretty high on the list of ways not to put your foot in the door. But as Hubert says himself, he has no problems with how twisted he appears to people. But naturally, above all of these relationships is the one he shares with Edelgard. Now, while he is close to her and holds her in high esteem, his feelings for her are kinda hard to describe. It's as if Hubert loves the vision of Edelgard more than Edelgard herself. Her resolve, her passion, the world she wishes to create. These are the things Hubert admires and wishes to see bear fruit. He respects and idolizes her because to him, she is a woman who can change the entire world. And as we all know, the world definitely changes as a result of Edelgard's will and actions. We interrupt this program to bring you Patreon Shilling. For as low as $3 a month, you can get benefits like early access to major videos. And if you want to dish out the big bucks, $7 a month gets you access to major polls and a shout out on videos. Now, last time I did this, I had the totally real Ego Raptor quote, and the time before that, I had the Song of Time. But for my Patreon joke this time, I'm gonna forego all humor, and I'm just gonna threaten you. If you don't give me money, I'm going to stab you. So be like Bishneer. Follow Pen to the North Star on Twitch, Great Riek, Green Brigand, Kieran Morin, Nember, Ranger Man Sam, Wario Carroll, Ryan Walter, Steph D, Brentendo11, and Drew Hack, and be part of the club that doesn't get stabbed. Back to the video. But he isn't a mindless servant to her either. He propels her dreams in a way that he thinks they should be. There are multiple instances of Hubert going against Edelgard's direct orders to do the more dirty side of change. Hubert isn't afraid to admit he's dabbled in assassinations, bribery, and all kinds of other unsightly things behind Edelgard's back. He wants her to go down the path of revolution unwaveringly, unimpeded by the darker side of change. It shows he's more than just a brain-dead lackey, as people like Ferdinand at first accuse him to be. And naturally, his relationship with Edelgard remains strong throughout her time at the monastery, though she does ask him if he wouldn't have minded a more carefree life, socializing normally with people and not living a path destined to be stained with blood. Hubert remarks that he is enjoying his time with people at the monastery, but it's not the life he wants. He wishes to be by her side when she changes the world, and that he will be by her thick and thin, no matter where that path leads. And, as we all know, the path will lead him down a 5-year time skip by her side. Hubert is one of the 2 characters in the game that cannot leave his assigned house at the time skip. He will remain with Edelgard, and thus can only be recruited in one route, similar to Dedue. So, real quick, I'll go over Hubert's role in the routes where he isn't recruitable. In non-Crimson Flower runs, Hubert mainly exists as a minor boss who somehow survives every time you kick his ass, until the end of the route where he's a late-game boss that dies. However, in Verdant Wind and Silver Snow, he has a letter to be made in case of his death, explaining how Twisted are a bunch of fucks who need to go down. This shows that Hubert, despite the fact that he stands as an enemy to Byleth, still wants to help the world, even if he won't be around to see it. His role in Crimson Flower is the advisor. He basically becomes the Seteth of Part 2, being the man you talk to for all your fetch quests in the monastery. But his personality has changed. Don't get me wrong, he's still creepy, but now he's, nicer creepy. He doesn't go around threatening to kill his allies anymore, that's for sure, and he's also noticeably nicer to his allies to boot. His supports during all of Part 2 have a much sweeter resolution than their beginnings in Part 1 would have you think. Old Hubert mocked Ferdinand's attitude for being too superfluous and self-centered. Now, Hubert has come to respect Ferdinand for his unyielding optimism. Old Hubert thought Shamir's status as a mercenary made her untrustworthy to the Empire, but now Hubert respects her abilities and relies upon her as both an ally and a friend. Old Hubert thought Petra was nothing more than a woman in Edelgard's shadow, but now Hubert respects Petra for her own qualities and abilities. I could keep going, but I think you get the idea here. Most of his endings depict him as a busy man, still going out in the world and doing his nefarious deeds, but he's also portrayed as a loving husband to all the women he marries. In particular, his ending with Shamir has one of my favorite lines, saying, quote, "It is reported that one of them was known to often state that, to find love between life and death is a gift. It is unknown which of the two actually spoke those words." Hubert is actually very sweet in a lot of his endings and interactions, something that people that haven't played Crimson Flower don't really understand. He's a man who works in the darker side of the world. Not because he necessarily enjoys it or because he's evil, he's simply doing a job he believes needs to be done. Hubert believes in Edelgard's world, and wants to make it a reality not for himself, but for the good of everyone. He's far more than just an Edelgard simp, which... Okay, I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. Calling Hubert a simp is wrong on like 27 levels. First of all, simp is an acronym standing for sucka idolizing mediocre pussy. Hubert's not doing what he's doing because he wants to get laid. And second, even if that was his reason, you're gonna call Emperor Edelgard mediocre pussy? Get the fuck out of here. Meme makers should have never gotten a hold of the word simp. Oh, but didn't you make simp jokes about Gatry in your Shannon video? Yeah, a man can learn from his mistakes, okay? Anyways, before we close off, I want to bring up two minor notes that I really couldn't find a way to organically work into the video. First of all, in his S support with Byleth, he doesn't even bring a ring to her when he proposes because he's sure he's going to get rejected, which is both really cute and also kind of sad. And also, Hubert wants to be a Pegasus Knight, but struggles due to him being afraid of heights. That's fine and all, but the way the wiki phrases it is just mean. Male units also cannot become Pegasus Knights, making his dream impossible. Like, geez, try to have a little tact. And here we are at the end of another character analysis. And it was a good one, I'd say. I'm glad y'all came around, and we are really picking up how many people we're doing here. Before we end, I would like to give a really big thanks to Ramian Doodles. She, if there was a Hubert fucker fan club, she wouldn't be the president, she'd be the goddamn queen. And another part of this power couple, her boyfriend, you know him, the Green Brigand, helped me with this as well, as he always did. If you want to go to his channel, he's playing Langrisser right now. And he's, well, look for yourself.
If you really want to min-max everything, so to speak, you want to be very meticulous and take care of all of the grunts before you take out enemy commanders. Pretty strongly encouraged. Oh, that was the commander. I wasn't even... well...
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, do all that stuff that the algorithm absolutely loves, and I don't have a joke for the thing that I say at the end here, which is normally something comedically ridiculous, so until next time.